do a review tonight on the Tom Ford Honeymoon quad palette. It's something that I've not had it for too long, I've only had it about a week, and I've done it a couple of looks with it and things like that, and I've done my first impressions, but I wanted to do a bit more of an in-depth review. The reason I'm kind of held on for a bit is because this is an expensive palette. It's expensive, it's a lot of money for a palette, you know, for makeup in general, but it's a lot of money for that, and I don't want to say, oh, it's amazing, go out and buy it and things like that. I really need to, you know, try it out and be honest, see how it works and things like that. So this is it here, so that's the Honeymoon quad, and I'll show you the shades. Lovely, really nice shades, you can see that there. I've used it a couple of times, as I say. So thoughts on it. I've got it on just now, so you can see. I've just done a quick kind of look. I was doing something else, I thought I'll use it tonight. So I've used this shade here, so that's that shade there, and that on its own. Just used that on its own under my eyes as well. Used it dry because it can be used wet and dry, but I used it dry, so I think you can see I've just done a kind of smoky eye, put some lashes on and stuff. So when I first used it, I tried this palette when I first got it. I was excited, so I tried it, and I think I used all of them. I used all the colours in that, and the only one that I was struggling with was that one. I used that in the crease, and it was a bit, I don't know if the word's chalky or when I put it on, it didn't blend that great. By the time I went onto the other eye though and mixed some of it, it started to blend better, but it wasn't the best at blending. But it still got the right look, you know, I still managed to blend it. I actually used another shadow. I used, I can't remember what I used, but I used a separate shadow. So that's why I want to say with something to think about with this is, if you're buying that and think, I just need this one palette and I'm going to use all of that together. Yeah, you can, but I find with that shade you're going to need to use some kind of transition shade to make it less sort of going on patchy. Once it's on, it's lovely, don't get me wrong, but when it's going on, it's patchy. So for this look tonight, I just used some bronzer and just to blend it together, and it was so much better. Without the bronzer, it just wasn't going on the best. But I've done it, and the payoff's amazing. It's worth, you know, that. But you need to, so if you're going to buy that one palette, you're going to have to use something else with it. But as I say, a bronzer works fine. You don't need to go and use another palette. To be honest, you probably got more than one palette anyway. You know, how many of us have really just got one palette that we use? So that was my thoughts on that. And I used the lighter colour the other day. I'd done a look, just a quick natural look, I think, with that one. Again, I'd done that wet as well. It was really nice, lovely look. Lasted a few hours before it started to crease, but I didn't do any prep in my eyes or anything. I think I just put a bit of concealer and that was it. If I was to use, you know, I was going out anywhere, so we're not going anywhere. If I was going out somewhere, I would obviously prep my eyes properly, and I believe I'd get a lot longer wear out of it. And I had it on, I had that dark, I had all of it on last week, and it was a good few hours, and it didn't look like it was creasing or anything, so it's good that way. I believe if you prepped your eye properly, that would last really well. See, I've not had a chance to, you know, wear it all day, especially dark. I don't go out, I don't wear makeup as it is, so I don't want to put a big heavy look on, and, you know, unless I'm sitting in the house all day, fair enough, but you know, don't want to do that, put a big heavy look on and go out walking the dog and that, you know. So I haven't had a chance to wear it all day, but I do believe it would last really well. Now, as I say, it's £68, I believe. The quality is good, the size is really good, because I'm going to compare it to like Charlotte Tilbury's quads, because I think that's what's most similar to. The palettes, you know, they're bigger, they're much bigger. I do prefer, I don't know, I just prefer this. Even it's very similar. I mean, it's quite similar, isn't it? I believe. Very similar to the Charlotte Tilbury ones. But if I was to pick one, I would go for the Tom Ford, in all honesty. And I love Charlotte Tilbury, so that's probably a surprise to people to hear me say that. I love Charlotte Tilbury. But if you're going to treat yourself to one thing, and it was the choice between Charlotte Tilbury quad and a Tom Ford quad, I personally would pick the Tom Ford quad. Maybe not necessarily this one, there's loads of different ones. I'm going to try a few other ones. I like Nude Dip. There's another one, I think it's creme, something nude. That's meant to be amazing. That's meant to be really good. That's got so many good reviews. This had a lot of good reviews, but some not so good. So it's entirely up to you, but if you're going to treat yourself. But what I would say, use my code, because it looked fantastic. You get 20% off it. That takes, I tried to work this out the other day, and I should maybe write this down. I think it was about £54. I'm saying about 54. Is that 20% of 60? Work that out. But for then, it's worth it, because what Charlotte Tilbury, hers about 40 something. God, I really should get this in. I'll put it all in the links, and you know, I'll add it all in when I put my video together. But personally, you know, if you use my code and you get that for 54, you know, I think you're getting more for your money, I feel. I mean, maybe they're not bigger, I mean, maybe just the palette's bigger, but to me, I will compare it, they look a lot bigger, and these are wet to dry again, I think. Charlotte Tilbury's are probably the same, but if you're going to treat yourself, it comes in a wee pouch, and you do get the wee brushes with it, but obviously I don't use them. Take them out, but you get two. I never use these little brushes that come with these things, never. I don't even think anybody does, maybe they do, but it's not something I would ever use, but it's a lovely palette. So yes, do your research though, as I say, you know, okay, as well as me saying I like it, although it's a bit patchy, that dark shade's patchy, but it works, you know, you can get it to work. But do your review, that's what I've done. I looked at so many, I watched too many videos, I'll be honest. I watched a lot of videos on Tom Ford quads, and people liked and people didn't, and I kind of had to make my own mind up. You know, it's one of these things, I thought I have to make my own mind up on it. Same with you, I mean, I can say it's amazing or rubbish, and it'd be up to you whether you thought, do you know what, I'm going to try it or not. That's, you know, you won't know until you try. But it is pricey, so it's a treat, yeah, it's one thing. But I do, you know, as much as it kills me to say that, because I'm such a big Charlotte Tilbury fan, when it comes to that and that, I prefer the luxury of that. To me, it's more luxurious, it's Tom Ford, and it's got that name to it, it's just a little bit more luxurious to me. So, you know, as I say, I've got it on now, I've not had it on that long. Blend it with some bronzer or something into your crease, and it'll work grand, it'll work fine. You can use them wet and dry, you know, the swatches are really good. It is, but you couldn't use just that palette, you would need something like a bronzer or something to do it, but the colours are amazing, I mean, honestly. That's a really, I mean, see, that's one I've got on now, so although I don't know what colour it looks, but it's got quite brown, but that's a really nice one too. But so that's the Honeymoon, 04 Honeymoon. So have a look on Look Fantastic. They've got quite a few of them. They don't have every one. I don't think they have the nude one, which is one I wanted to really, was it creme? Not the nude dip, they've got that one, which is probably the next one I'm going to try. But yeah, so I will put all the links, you know, below and things, and mentioned the size difference in that, just to check, because I could be wrong. Maybe it's just a bigger palette, maybe just this is bigger, I don't know. But that's it. So that's my honest opinion of it. I will buy another one. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.